Good evening and welcome to the Thursday evening edition of Primetime News. It is a pleasure to be here with you tonight. I'm your host, Primrose Harasis. Our leading story tonight, the Office of the Prime Minister has confirmed that there is sufficient food in stock at the regional warehouse in the Oshana region to aid flood victims. Executive Director Iben Nashandi made this statement in a media release on Wednesday. More details on this report.
Executive Director in the Office of the Prime Minister, Iben Nashandi, stated that around 327 individuals had been relocated from the affected areas to the Ehenge Relocation Center in the Oshana region. The Regional Risk Management Committee has implemented measures to ensure that residents affected by flooding in Oshawapala Township were relocated. He said all procured items and donations received have been accounted for and have reached flood victims in Ohangwena, Oshana and Omusati regions. This includes 100 mosquito nets delivered to the Ehenge Relocation Center in Oshana. The OPM statement came in response to local newspaper reports that relocated flood victims in the Oshana regions were complaining about starvation.
Deputy Minister of Gender Equality, Poverty Eradication and Social Welfare, Bernadette Jager, spoke out on Wednesday about the gender gaps in Namibia's media industry. Jager emphasized that despite women comprising 64% of media students, they make up only 40% of all media practitioners and 34% of media house managers. Jager made these remarks during the commemoration of International Women's Day in Swakopmund. She stressed that these statistics indicate the entry barriers that women face in the media profession. Let's listen in to hear her full statement.
A number of strategies were adopted in the National Gender Policy, including the following: making all forms of information communication technology, including radio, television, internet, print and electronic media, accessible to women and men in all parts of the country. And also to promote women's representation in decision-making positions within the media industry, including on media boards, training of journalists in gender-sensitive reporting, and encouraging media houses to adopt gender equality policies and measures. Whilst there has been a notable increase in women taking up decision-making positions in the media fraternity of Namibia, with the country scoring a Media Sustainable Development Goals Index house of 78% compared to the regional average of 67%. Notable gender gaps still exist in the media sector. Women constitute 40% of all media practitioners and 34% of media houses managers, whereas women comprise 64% of media students. This implies that although women constitute the majority of media students, they are underrepresented in employment and managerial positions in media houses, and this is an indication of the entry barriers that women face in the media profession.
Moving on to wildlife crimes. In a disturbing discovery, the carcasses of 2 white rhinos were found on a private game farm located north of Okahanja in the Otjozondjupa region. More details on this developing story.
The Namibian Police Force Community Affairs Liaison Officer in the Otjozondjupa region, Warrant Officer Olivia Hayambo, in an interview with Nampa earlier today, said the carcasses were discovered on the farm by workers. The horns were removed by the suspects. Ayambo said the police suspect that the poaching might have taken place between the 3rd and 6th of March, adding that the combined value of the animals is 840,000 Namibian dollars. No arrest has been made so far, and a case of hunting specially protected game was opened at the Okahanja police station. Police investigations into the matter continue. Reporting for Primetime News, I'm Michael Madimba.
Gwen Lister, a member of the Women for Bees Namibia organization, has urged Namibians to consider bee farming as a means of creating employment opportunities for themselves, rather than waiting for the government to provide them. Lister, who serves as the capacity and local networking representative for the organization, made this call during the Women for Bees Namibia network and capacity building event with accomplished women held in the capital on Thursday. Emilia Kambuta was at the event and filed the story.
And most importantly, and I think Women for Bees have realized this already, for a civil society campaign to succeed, we need the people on our side. And that's why networking with communities, as you are already doing, going into rural areas, spreading the gospel of the bees and survival of the bees, and seeing all the industry that can emerge from this is part of what you need to do in order to get people support on your side.
One of the initiatives we have as Women for Bees Namibia is an educational component. We have identified that you need to educate people to the fact that bees are not a nuisance. Bees are important to us, not just for our food security, but for our environment as well. So it starts with the young youth, where you educate them that bee is actually a friend. It's not an enemy. We talk to people, we have workshops, and engage also with school teachers. Debmarine has an out as a development program, a volunteer program, falling under what we call the Ambassadors for Good program. Right? This is where employees of Debmarine Namibia are allowed to live the company values in the communities that we come from. Right? And the Ambassadors for Good program is really aimed at employees volunteering their time and their skills and their knowledge to deserving partner organizations, which is well funded by Debmarine Namibia.
I also belong to the Women for Bees group. That's an affiliation in support of the Beekeeping Association. Be the difference you want to see is not expecting other people to do everything for you or things to fall in line. We grow very, very fast as an organization because we assume the position that we have to make the difference. We have to do things that we want to see change, or at least align it. Resources, people have certain strategies. So we are growing very fast because this is our motto, to be the difference.
Your top roundup is up next. Welcome to the business segment. During a parliamentary session on Wednesday, Deputy Minister of Information, Communication and Technology, Emma Theophilus, emphasized the need for the country's spending to prioritize economic recovery. The ICT Deputy Minister stressed that every dollar spent should be directed towards economic recovery sectors and invested in demographics that maximize productivity. Let's listen in.
No country can stand tall with a poor social fabric. And our social fabric can only be intact with the proper safety nets that speaks to the needs of our people. Even the most capitalist nations in the world are moving into introducing social safety nets for some strata of society due to the prevailing economic reality. Therefore, the commitment towards social grants to the most vulnerable communities is commendable because we are only as strong as our weakest links. However, it would be a fallacy to believe that only moving in this direction will bring us economic prosperity, not putting our dollars towards the sectors that are meant to sustain our economy and investing in the demographic that can bring maximum productivity in our economic sectors must be a priority moving forward. Our spending priorities moving forward, Honorable Minister of Finance, should reflect economic recovery and growth. In support of this budget, this can be achieved through the proper and timely implementation of our policy initiatives. Time is money, as they say, Honorable Sabet. Improving ease of doing business in Namibia and boosting business confidence. We need to move away from heavily spending on our social sector at some point, and move more towards directing our spending to activities that have a higher return on investment of our collective tax dollars.
The Swakopmund municipality has approved a budget allocation of 2.5 million Namibian dollars to provide electricity connections for the DRC proper informal settlement project. The project will be carried out in phases. More from this report.
The DRC locality has 850 erven, with the majority of the houses consisting of informal dwellings and structures. These residents are also due to receive ownership certificates from the municipality. The municipality's public relations officer, Linda Mupupa, in a media statement said, due to the financial implications of all parties, the beneficiaries will be given two options to make their contributions towards the electricity supply connection. Erongo Red has also secured close to 1.6 million Namibia dollars as a contribution to service 200 beneficiaries in DRC proper. This contribution will cover the electrical supply cable from the nearest kiosk up to 2 meters into the ERF boundary with a prepaid meter ready box. Meanwhile, progress has been recorded in the renovation and completion of 319 houses under the MES housing project, with painting completed on 111 houses, although these are still awaiting water and electrical connections.
That concludes our top news segment for this evening. Up next, we have the economics roundup, followed by the weather forecast. Please stay tuned. to Sport Planet. Kylian Mbappe said Paris Saint-Germain's Champions League elimination to Bayern Munich will not affect his future as the striker focuses on the Ligue 1 title. Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting and Serge Gnabry's second half strikes at Allianz Arena on Wednesday secured a 2-0 victory for Bayern and a 3-0 aggregate triumph in the last 16 clash. Defeat marked a second straight Champions League elimination in the first knockout round for PSG, who have repeatedly had to battle interest from Real Madrid to keep Mbappe in the French capital. The France international previously refuted suggestions a European crown will dictate his future and reiterated that message after another miserable PSG outing on the continental stage. Meanwhile, Richarlison accused Tottenham of underplaying him after a painful Champions League exit at the hands of Milan. He further used an expletive word to describe his season thus far. The goalless draw at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Wednesday saw Spurs go out 1-0 on aggregate at the last 16 stage. Brazil forward Richarlison came on as a substitute after 70 minutes but could not help the host find a breakthrough. He has managed just 2 club goals this season, despite starting 12 games and appearing as a substitute on 13 occasions. This season, and forgive my language, has been expletive. I don't have enough minutes, was injured for a bit, but when I'm on the pitch, I give my life, he said. Up next is your sports roundup. With that, we have come to the end of tonight's newscast. Do make a date with us tomorrow evening for more updates on local, continental, and global affairs. From myself, Primrose Harases, and the entire team behind the scenes, good night.